Hello and welcome to my studio. My name is Josephine and thank you so much for all the feedback and all of the lovely responses I got on my last video. It was all about ease, measurements, how to measure yourself, and also about how to choose a size as a starting point. And we do all of this to achieve a better fit. If you didn't watch it, you can do so now before this video. I will put the link below. And today I'm gonna go more into toiles and how to identify fit problems, which order to go through. And I'm also going to show you how to do some length adjustments, because that's one of the most common adjustments that we need to make quite often. And a lot of us need to do them. To recap, we have our measurements. I showed you how to take your measurements in the previous video. And we have a basic understanding of ease. We have also chosen a size for the pattern. So when you are trying a new pattern, I always recommend to make a toile first. And I know this is so many people don't like to make a toile, and I totally understand that. I mean, it takes a lot of time and you just want to start working on your garment. So you have to complete the whole garment and then you have to do it all again. But to achieve the best possible result, that's what we have to do. And as a beginner, it's really helpful to do this. And that's why we do it. So it's not only to achieve a good fit, you can see this as a practice run. And any mistakes you make, you can fix them in your actual garment later on. And that's super beneficial when you're starting out. And as you get more experience, you will need to make less and less complicated toiles. So when you are more advanced, if you're making like a shirt dress, you might only have to make the basic front and back pieces, and just to test the fit, see that the bust darts are where they're supposed to be. Do you have to make any major adjustments? You don't have to make the entire collar and belt and pockets and everything for your toile. So what I did when I started sewing was I made toiles out of bed sheets, and that's what I usually recommend. If you're making a woven garment, it's oftentimes very good to use a bed sheet because there's no stretch in it. You can find them super cheap, and like thrifting old bed sheets, vintage bed sheets, you get a lot of fabric for not a lot of money. It's also good for the environment to not buy new fabric just to try a design out. And you don't really have to like the print either or the color. You can just use it as practice. And when you're fitting the toile, you should start from the top and work your way down. And that's going to create the best result. So you pin on yourself and you look in a mirror, or you can put up your smartphone, take a video and see, because sometimes when you look in a mirror it's hard to see, and from the back as well. So take photos or ask someone to take photos of you, or record yourself to see anywhere that you need to fix something, and then you can pin and take a video again. And that's how you determine what needs to be changed. Sometimes you also need to seam rip some seams to see if maybe you need to make the sleeve cap a bit higher, or you need more length in a garment or something like that. Then you would need to seam rip the seams apart. It's a good idea to use a long stitch length when you're sewing a toile so that it's easy to rip apart. So when you've done that, it's time to make the actual adjustments on the pattern. This is not done in the same way as when you pin. So when you're pinning a toile and fitting it, you go from top to bottom. But it's oftentimes a better idea when you're transferring these adjustments to the pattern on the paper to do length adjustments, any major changes, so full bust adjustment, sway back adjustment, adding or reducing fullness somewhere, anything like that. And then after that you do the smaller tweaks, so changing the shape of the side seam or something like that. The process is a bit different on the fabric adjustments and then how you transfer them to paper. So I'm going to flip the camera around and I'm going to show you how to make some length adjustments to some different types of pattern pieces. And if you have any questions about anything that I covered today, and if you want to learn how to create a better fit, I'm here for you. I'm answering questions, and I want you to develop a practice where you're making a toile and identifying the problems with the fit and changing them, because that's how we create garments that we will actually wear and how we enjoy our sewing process. So I want to invite you to think about the fitting process as a crucial part of your sewing practice. And this part of the process can actually be fun. So I decided to become a pattern maker just because I think this is the most fun part. Like tweaking and changing up the pattern, and it doesn't have to be so hard. I don't want you to be discouraged about fit issues and stop sewing entirely, which I heard it's so common, and it doesn't have to be that way. And I invite you to come into this space, and I want to teach you how to actually create garments that fit you the way you want them to fit. And one of those things that you might need is a length adjustment. I'm going to show you how to do that now. So these are the example patterns that I'm going to use. We're going to start off with this trouser pattern here. So I have the front and the back. The first thing we need to do is determining where we have the length or the shortness in our body. So for me, I am tall, I'm 5'9", and I oftentimes have to make adjustments to trousers, but not in the leg usually, but in this area here. So my rise is very, very long compared to standard measurements. So I'm going to show you how to make that adjustment. It's the same principle to make a length adjustment regardless of your pattern piece, but to wrap your head around it, I'm going to show you a few different variations. When lengthening a rise, what I usually do is go around the middle of this line here. So I have my grain line here, and I'm going to draw a line straight across like this, and I'm going to do the same on the front. Now we need to cut. Take some spare pattern paper and place it on your surface. And this is a trick I learned in pattern making school. You have your tape, you place it on your skin, and it's not going to be as sticky. So when you first place the tape on your skin and then place it on your pattern paper, it's going to be very easy to remove, and you're not going to destroy the paper when you do so. So that's a handy trick. So we have a spare piece of paper here. Then we're going to place the pattern pieces. Then you want to measure. So for me, I know I need 2 to 3 centimeters. So I'm going to put 2 centimeters now. I'm just marking, I'm doing 3 dots. And you can create a line as a guideline for your next pattern piece. That's where the next pattern piece is going to sit. You also want to lengthen the grain line to make sure you place the pattern piece exactly straight. So here's our continued grain line. This is the space we need. So we have moved the top part of the trouser 2 centimeters up and created this space in between. What we need to do now is make sure this line continues in the correct way. So here it's pretty straightforward. I can just continue the line like this. But here, if you can see, we have sort of a gap. So if I just make a line straight across here, it's going to be lumpy. So because this side is a bit more to the left and this one is a bit more to the right, because we moved it straight up according to the grain line, that's what you always want to do, we need to adjust here a bit. And what we want to do is take some off at the top and add some at the bottom. So since this is so tiny now, you're not going to see what I did. But here I've added a few millimeters and here I've taken away a few millimeters. And that's what you want to do to make the line be as smooth as possible. So that's always what you're looking for. Now that we have placed both pieces with added 2 centimeters here, we need to create all of the lines, the new lines. So for the center back, for example, we want to draw the line from here to here and not just straight across here because it's going to be lumpy. So adjusting your ruler, so you start here and end here, you're going to add a bit extra here and you're going to take away some at the top. And this creates a smooth continuous line, and that's your new line. So now we just want to cut it out, and that's our new pattern pieces. You can also place some more tracing paper on top and trace out the new pattern pieces. So here are our final pattern pieces. We have added 2 centimeters of length to the rise, and this is not going to affect the length of the leg, so the inseam is still going to be the same. So if you have all of your length in your legs, you would need to do the same thing but over here. So aim for the middle of the inseam, I would say. So around here you would draw a line and then move the pieces apart or bring them closer together, overlapping, if your legs are shorter. So that's how to do it on a trouser. And I'm also going to show you a length adjustment you could do on a bodice. So I've drawn 2 lines. You don't want to change the length at the waist specifically, but a little bit above or below the waist. You could even change the length up here at the cross chest and cross back, depending on where you have your length. But I'm going to assume that you have a bit of extra fabric at the waistline or at the hips, below the bust, like over here, and that the garment fits perfectly on top. So I'm going to show you how to make it shorter now. And you could do it at both of these places. If you have, let's say you have 5 centimeters of extra, I would suggest doing 2.5 here and 2.5 here. But if you only have 2 centimeters of extra that you want to remove from the length, then I would suggest doing either one of those and not both. So try to see where it's best to remove. So if you have horizontal drag lines, or when you look from profile and you see at the back, for example, that it kind of bubbles at the back, at the waistline, you want to pinch that and see how much it is, and then adjust accordingly. So I'm going to assume you want to remove 2 centimeters, and we're going to do it at this line here. So what we want to do is cut the pieces apart. Attach the top part of your bodice pieces to your spare piece of pattern paper. Move the bottom half of the bodice pieces up 2 centimeters. Trim the side seams and cut away any lumps and bumps. What you also want to do is make sure any adjustments you've made that affect the side seam, for example here, you want to true the pattern. So walking the pieces, seeing that they are exactly the same length, or you can measure the pieces and make sure the measurement is the same. Any seams that are sewn together, you want to make sure they match up perfectly. That's everything I had to show you today. I hope you find it useful. If you have any questions at all for me about how to achieve a better fit or how to make any kind of fit adjustments, let me know. And if you have any questions about what I've shared with you today, I'm more than happy to help. I wish you the best of luck on your sewing adventures and your pattern fitting journey, and let's stay in touch and let me know how it goes.